Now let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Play ball!
Real Madrid lost that game against AC Milan at the Santiago Bernabeu. It was a poor showing for Real Madrid. They missed a whole lot of chances, even though they got a penalty. Vinicius got a penalty and scored, made it 1-1. But AC Milan kept on scoring, taking their chances and scored 3 goals in that game. Okay, if you look at that game, guys, Santiago is not a fortress again. Teams come there and win games. Even though, okay, let's say Barcelona is Barcelona, the person that came there and scored 4. But AC Milan that is not really doing well, even in the Serie A, or in the past couple of years, went there and scored 3. What is wrong with Real Madrid?
You know, I think I've said it a couple of times, and we keep coming back to this conversation. I said that last season, Real Madrid were sleeping through most of their matches, winning just by a lucky goal or coming back into matches to score more than the opponent. You know, the mantra with Real Madrid has always been, you score us, we score more, and we win. And then we score.
Always the comeback kings.
Comeback kings, 9-minute goals, one hat-trick winner, and stuff like that. And they were just coasting through games. And I said that if you look at this summer, the way this summer has gone, they've not invested in the defense. They've not invested in key places in the fullback positions, in the center half positions, and then with the 2 people they lost in midfield, there is some need for investment in midfield. And then going forward, the signing of Mbappe into that team, we saw so far this season that Real Madrid is not that free-flowing attacking side they were when Jude Bellingham was leading the line alongside Vinicius. That pairing is no longer functioning this season because there's a switch in the formation now to utilize Mbappe and Vini, and that pairing has not yet finalized because you can say it's a free fluid attacking position. Anybody can play anywhere. The pitch is wide enough for everybody to play, but at the end of the day, these 3 men with the talent, with the potential they have, they've not yielded much for the team. And in this game yesterday, they didn't make any chance beg.
Okay, no. So if you look at that game, is it the defense or Ancelotti is getting his tactics right? Or if there's this particular quote that yesterday or day before yesterday when they interviewed Benzema, he is saying that Mbappe plays well from the left.
Yes,
that's what he said. But the problem that he came to the club when Vinicius picked form, like he picked one of his highest form now, he cannot remove Vinicius from that wing, though he has to now make him play like a striker. That he's even saying that he doesn't think that Mbappe is an out-and-out striker, but he has to just make do or what's available. Do you think that this partnership is hurting Real Madrid?
I think when you make statements like this, you go back to history books and you see that when they made a signing of some goods from Man United at the time, he wasn't an out-and-out striker. But they brought him in, and when they brought him in, there was a Raul up front that was an out-and-out striker, and they were playing off the flanks where he was used to, and was gradually implementing the play style of the striker position, and from there he became the striker and the GOAT, and what they call the goal machine. I was talking about Cristiano Ronaldo. So I think Mbappe can learn off that, because if you say this person is your idol, you could also learn 18 or 2 from his rule book. You can play off position, you can play in position and still get your results. And for John saying this, I don't think it was I don't think it was just the lack of attacking presence. Rodrigo has not been available for this season so far. He's not been available for some big matches, and they've not gotten goals from Rodrigo so far. He's one of those players that always come in to shock the world. But I feel like it's just the defensive problem they had. You get, Tchouaméni has not lived up to potential in midfield. Then the defense line has always had this crisis. I've always said this about Militao, though they say he's a starting bet for Real Madrid, but he's always had this problem of making should I say poor decision making. For Militao, I think his poor decision making has led the team to where it is right now. And in the right back position, they don't have a player there to fit. Though he's an attacker, when coaches come in a team and convert a player to this player, when they did with Bill from left back, they converted him to a winger. From this, they converted many players they've converted that have done well in the position they've given them. The new coaches has given them. For Lucas Vazquez, he has an off season. He does well in 2 games. The next game he's off, especially when he's playing against a pacey and fast and fleet-footed attacker. Then
I understand what you're saying about the defense. If you look at the kind of goals they conceded, one from the corner kick, Morata scoring from the rebound. That rebound, when he was shot, that everyone was just standing there.
That rebound
and they're watching the ball.
Everybody was ball watching.
Everybody was
ball watching, and that should have been Tchouaméni or Militao making a run for it.
Yes, they were just watching the ball, and Morata just poked it in. And if you look at the last goal, the way Rafael actually just ran down through that left part and just passed the ball, and they scored the third goal. If you look at that game, do you think Ancelotti needs more players? But if you look at, what do you think that they need more reinforcement? The midfield. Do you think that they have replaced Cruz, because Cruz left last season, and you can see the midfield is not really down together. And if you look at it again, Valverde plays from the flank. The wife actually came after the game and tweeted that his husband is not a winger, that he's a midfielder. Do you understand? So I don't understand. So the whole lot of things happening at Real Madrid.
Before Ancelotti came into that side, before Don Carlo came into that side, there was something he always does. Vasquez has always played not as a winger, but this ability to drive to the wing and make the crosses in. I think they utilized him well in that regard. But under this man, he said he will make him score more goals, which means as a midfielder, players that would understudy. What they call them is understudy, because you said that last 2 seasons, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Valverde were not starting matches like that before Toni Kroos and Modric kind of felt old, and Ancelotti brought in Valverde to play a starting bet. Now, playing a starting bet alongside Toni Kroos means you have to learn from him. You get Jude Bellingham as well. Learn from this player. Though he will be there to control the tempo of the game, control the way the team is played. But you learn from him, do the defensive work. He's not there to do the defensive work. But Valverde and Camavinga and Jude Bellingham can do the defensive work. Learn from him. Learn how to pass the ball forward a bit. I think him leaving, he had enough understudy in the side. But he didn't have a proper replay. Just like in Man City, where you say this person, Foden, was understudying David Silva. But yet he has enough in his power to replace him whenever he leaves. And when David Silva left, Foden kind of picked up that slot and was cemented into that position. Now, in that position, he had people fighting for him for it with the likes of Bernardo Silva and all of that. But let's leave Man City aside. Let's come to Real Madrid now. For Toni Kroos, his replacement is, they will always fight for that position to Luka Modric, which is the best midfielder in the world right now. But outside Toni Kroos,
right now, I don't think he's the best midfielder.
I'm just saying personally.
I don't think so.
Personal opinion though. Now, Valverde can come in and replace Toni Kroos, passing the ball forward, getting the passes right, controlling the tempo of the game. But you get, when a person is missing. He doesn't still have I don't think he has enough to hold a candle to Toni Kroos. Like, that's just what I'm saying.
For me, I think Real Madrid got it wrong when they wanted to fast track the growth and progression of Tchouaméni, Camavinga and Valverde. If you look at Real Madrid over the years, they've always had the season generals starting the matches, and then you bring on these young guns later on in the game as the game is progressing. But shifting to a model where you have Tchouaméni, Valverde and then Jude up front, and then Modric is either brought in as a second afterthought at the dying embers of the game, or you have Valverde and Camavinga and then Jude in the model up front as well. For me, I think when Toni Kroos left, Modric should have become a starter for Real Madrid.
He started this game.
He's been starting
alongside a Camavinga or a Valverde. Playing Valverde outright for me is not right. Rather than play Valverde outright in that place, you play Vasquez there. Vasquez can still do a job, but then playing him in that, like we saw it at Manchester United, playing Martinez in the left fullback position. We saw it a couple of other places in Europe where you have somebody who is not really a defensive fullback being played in that place, and then his inability or lack of pace on the ball is exploited by the opponent's team. You can't really solve for that, let me say, by making the person faster. It's a position you need to upgrade, and for a couple of seasons, Real Madrid have not spent money to buy quality talent into the side. We've seen them go out for people whose contracts have been exhausted. We've seen them go out for people who are negotiating with them on agreeing deals ahead of the summer when their contract will run out. And you need to make those investments into those positions. But for me, if you look at the back four, they need to have somebody brought in on the right back and on the left back.
Okay, if you look at now Real Madrid, where they are sitting in this Champions League table, do you think they are going to make this top 8? That's the question. Because the target is everybody is to make the first number 1 to 8, so that you can just move on,
reduce the time of
the games you play and enter the qualification knockout stages proper. But if you below 8th position, 9th, 24th, you have to play each other for you to join the people that are qualified top 8. Do you think that Madrid can actually make this top 8? Because there are only 4 more games to go and they have lost 2 and won 2.
Well, it depends. I'm not going to say, because now if they've lost 2, they've won 2. It depends on how much they get, how many points they get in the next 4 games. It's 8 games. Depending on how many points they get in the next 4 games. I'll always continue to root for Real Madrid, but I feel like the knockout stages is where the competition starts. For Real Madrid, you see them in a couple of Champions League games where they went on to sleep through season. They finished second of the table. They don't really finish top of their table when it was still 4 matches or 6 matches and a group match, a group stage game. You see them finish second on the table and end up finishing the season with a trophy. You see that when it happened with them against Juventus, sorry. You saw that when it happened against Bayern Munich. You saw that when it happened when they did the 3-peat. Throughout the season, they were sleeping through games as well, but they went on to win 3 in a row. Last season, they slept through games, but they went on to win the Champions League. So I think the knockout stage football is where the Real Madrid team kind of wakes up. But this season, I'm beginning to fear that that's not going to happen. But I'm beginning to say maybe
you can ride your luck for how many years do you ride your luck?
That's the thing. Until the ball comes calling.
And I'm saying that maybe in January they'll make a recruitment in January, because Ancelotti has come out to say they don't need a replacement, they don't need recruitment in right back position. But with these results coming up, man, recruitments are coming up in January. The data
says otherwise. You can pontificate and say whatever you want to say to look good in the media, or to quieten the fans, or to appease the fans, but at the end of the day, the data shows otherwise. And if when we talk about Real Madrid being a dominating force, that they've been in knockout football, so far this season, with the run of games they've had, we would not have seen Real Madrid lose to Lille. We would not have seen Real Madrid lose to Milan. And if you finish in this 9th to 24th position and you're drawn against an AC Milan that has done it, or you're drawn against a Barcelona that have done it in the Santiago Bernabeu, if any of these games that they've lost could have been a knockout match and they'd be out. You understand? So it's going to be a very dicey scenario, because the points between them and the top 8 keep growing wider as we go ahead, because you can't control every other body's pace. You can only control your own pace, and right now you are 4 clicks behind where you need to be.
And the next part is they are going to Anfield to play Liverpool next in the Champions League, the high-flying Liverpool. If they lose that game, it's going to be tough. Okay, let's talk about AC Milan, because if you look at that game, we can talk about Real Madrid all we want, because if you look at AC Milan, they came in with a game plan, and that game plan worked. We are talking about their coach. They have not been really doing well in the Serie A, but in this particular game, he got his tactics right and he scored 3 goals at the Bernabeu.
For me, it's a game that I was really looking forward to, because we were expecting a blowout from Real Madrid, and I knew that Real Madrid have some liabilities and AC Milan can expose them. If you go back and look at AC Milan's couple of games, you're going to see, even yesterday, I was pretty curious as to why Samuel Chukwueze didn't play a lot more game time, or didn't even get game time in the match, because he's somebody that is fleet-footed and he's somebody that creates chances for other people to score. And then if you look at the run that Leao made that got that 3rd goal, it's similar to a run that Chukwueze could have done to dispossess whoever played in that left full-back position and create more chances. So him being in the side could have been as bad as 5-1.
Oh wow.
Or more. So in that attacking side, AC Milan are covered. Where AC Milan have struggled for me is when you look at their midfield and the mentality they come into games with. That's where I see them. So but for yesterday's game, they had a good game. And they took their chances.
What do you make of that AC Milan game plan?
I always felt like they've always scored goals, because there's no game you see AC Milan going into that they didn't score goals, except for the one against Napoli where they lost. They've always scored goals, but they always concede more. That's the problem for AC Milan. I think in this game they kind of defended well. They know they will score. We all know they were going to score goals, but it is defending the goals so you don't concede more than you score. That was the problem for me.
And for teams that lack proper defense.
2 teams that lacked proper defense went into head to head into with each other, and the other team came up top, scoring 3 goals and not conceding more goals. It tells a different story for AC Milan. But I'm still saying it's for Senka the man to take them forward, because we saw his record. I'm still going to say it all boils down to the coach, the mentality of the coach, the ability of the coach to drive the team forward. We've seen the record at Serie A, where they have a very terrible record. They have a very bad record. But in going forward into games, you see them. You hope that they don't get into those games to disgrace themselves. But they end up some of those games. They end up winning those games with margin. They end up scoring goals, but they still end up conceding goals. You see them go 2 goals ahead and concede a red card, and from there the match is lost.
For me,
I believe for Senka this one, he did his homework right. He got the players in.
I keep saying it. Once you get your tactics right, you are now the superstar.
But the bottom line has to be that irrespective of where they finish this season and what they do in the Champions League, it's still a rebuild year for Senka at AC Milan, and nobody is expecting them to come in and win the Scudetto, because the Scudetto as it is between Napoli and Inter Milan, and maybe the outsiders or the dark horses of the season, talking about Atalanta. So the fundamental for AC Milan is rebuild, strengthen the team, and then push forward. And you can't push forward with anybody if you're not going to give them time. So that's just it for me for AC Milan this time around.
They even to make that first 24, because everybody is fighting for that particular position. Okay, guys, let's see what Real Madrid is going to be doing in the Champions League. Ancelotti is hoping that his team will still pick up form and qualify probably the top 8, but it's looking harder and harder every single time they play football. I think losing Toni Kroos is particularly affecting them. You could see that there is a gap in that midfielder, and Jude have not actually picked form this season. They are hoping that Jude will pick form, and our man Mbappe, he keeps missing chances and chances and chances. Real Madrid fans are hoping that he will pick up form and start scoring goals that will lead them to another Champions League. See you guys later.